Hello everyone, my name is Tatsiana and I'd like to introduce active learning approach in education, and I want to produce my presentation about this. Active learning. My name is Tatsiana and I want to talk about active learning approach. Active learning approach. We will talk about active learning approach and the main position of this approach. And first of all, we will talk about goals of this approach, position of the student and the teacher, organization of the communication process, and teaching method, which we use according to the active learning approach. Active learning approach is the organization of the learning process by the teacher with help of a certain system of methods, techniques of the educational process on the basis of subject-subject relation of the teacher and the student, multilateral communication, design of knowledge by students, self-assessment, feedback, and reflection. Goals of the active learning approach. The main goal for the teacher is to create educational conditions for the student. In these conditions, students can discover, acquire, and design their own knowledge. Students can develop social competencies, ability to lead a discussion, work in a group, resolve conflicts, and listen to others. According to this, students develop memory, attention, thinking, and emotions. Students, according to these educational conditions, get active position and they have a chance to get a practical knowledge. Position of the student and the teacher. According to this approach, teacher and the students have a partial relations. Organization of communication in the learning process. According to this approach, teachers can communicate with every student in the teaching group, and students communicate with each other and with the teacher, of course. Teaching methods. We use, according to the active learning approach, such methods as discussion methods and role play, reflective methods, self-assessment. This is a very important method, I think, and the methods of active lectures. Steps of implementation. Implementation and realization in the classroom active learning approach requires some steps. These steps are very important for the teachers and for the students. And first, presentation of the training program. Teacher should tell and explain to the students what they will do according to these lessons. Next step is acquaintance with all project participants. It is very important for the teacher and for the students to know all the names, because when they know all the names, they can communicate with each other without any problems. Diagnosis of emotional state of the students. This steps is very important because this method we use interaction, and it's very important to know emotions and the motives of the student. The definition, the norms of collaboration. Identifying concerns and expectation. What students expect, what they want, why they attend to these classes. The execution of the exercises. And a reflection, evaluation, and a feedback. It is very important for the teacher to get a feedback from the student about the learning process. Why I choose this approach? As for me, I have the position as a psychologist and as a teacher because of my working as a university. According to this approach, I can see the student changes during the classes. I can see and notice how they learn from each other, new ways of interaction and new ways of thinking. This method allows students to change their position in the group, to become a leader, and to become a very communicative person. This approach gets me an opportunity to train with my students because I have a lot of groups of students, and for every group I create a new conditions. This is a gay opportunity for training of teachers and students together. The main advantages and disadvantages of this approach. Disadvantages. Of course, using active learning, we need more time, and sometimes one lesson is not enough for us. We can hear a big noise sometimes in classroom. This is natural, but sometimes for the schools and for the university, it's not very good. The difficulty in presenting a large amount of material in classroom, especially theoretical. Yes. A limited number of participants, usually not more than 13 people in the group. Of course, for the university, we have big groups of students, and sometimes it is impossible to use this approach. Resistance of students to new approaches and methods. I faced that sometimes students do not want to have part in these active learning exercises. Advantages. Of course, using this method, we can increase student motivation. We can develop their cognitive skills, memory, attention, speech, oral speech, and critical thinking. Social interaction skills. By their communication, students learn from each other to communicate, build on opinion and position, practice orientation. By using this method, we can do some knowledge in practice way. All students are involved in training and learning process. This is a very important, especially for university involved on the students in activity. Right. Um, how can we reach the main goals of product humanity by using active learner approach? And the first main goal is opinion building. I think opinion building can reach through the implementation, the organization of a communicative process, discussion method, using self-assessment, feedback and reflection. Action orientation. We can reach this goal through the implementation, the activity of students, role-playing method and discussion method, awareness raising. By this method, we use a very accessible, understandable and interesting presentation of the learning material. It is very important because it increases student interest and motivation to take part in this learning process. And in the next steps, I want to show you how we use this method of active learning as our Nowadays, using active learning approach became more and more popular around teachers in Belarusian schools, especially in such subjects as literature, word art, and history. At the university level, we use active learning approach methods and techniques, for example, in psychology subject for the future psychologists and for the future teacher. And next step, I will show you how
we usually do it.